Right, ready?
Yep.
Calling this meeting to order on Thursday, July 16th, 5:03 p.m. Joe, can you do roll call, please?
I can. Eric Schwartz.
Here.
Jason Bennett.
Here.
Jake Legenthal.
Here.
Crosby Bugenhagen.
Here.
Carolyn Simon. Mike Gooch.
Here.
Jim Olson. It will be late. This meeting has been publicly posted. The meeting is not being live streamed this evening, but it will be posted publicly on our website after the proceedings this evening. Board, may I ask if you are ready for me to go get the first candidate?
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Good evening. How are y'all doing?
One thing I would remind you of is you pull that mic as close as you can to yourself. Craig isn't here to tell people to speak into the microphone. So
All right.
I will do that.
Gooch, that's your job tonight.
All right. Assuming you probably have my resume.
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
So Micah, thank you for applying. We have a number of questions that I will read. The board members will be here. From a follow-up question standpoint, board members may ask a question. If you use something like you mentioned, ABC Company, they might be able to ask a question about that. But generally speaking, follow-ups are going to be things that we'll either save to the end for clarification purposes, or you might not get follow-up questions. There will be an opportunity for you at the end to ask questions of the board if you have those for us this evening.
Okay.
All right, so Micah, why are you interested in serving on the school board at this time?
There's a few reasons. I've grown up in this community, Mukwonago, and I've come to love this community and love the community members. I've worked with many of the students through my job, through Dowson Transport, and I just really want to be able to make an investment into the future young people in our community and really see them succeed, not just educationally, but as a whole person. See them succeed in life, and I know it makes the schools make a big impact on all the families around us, and I want to make sure that they're the best they can be for each of the families to really be able to thrive and help them with their education needs as they send them. One of the reasons I just wanted to be more involved too in the community and make a direct impact on families. Just want to be able to impact the next generation, as I said. And I mean, what better way to make sure, if you care about education and the educational standards and seeing good, high quality educational standards met, than just helping serve in the capacity in that way on a board, and to see that community standards in education are met is by serving. So that's why I'm applying.
Thank you. What strengths, experiences, or perspectives would you bring to the board?
Strengths, experiences, and perspectives?
Yep.
Having grown up in I've grown up in as you saw in my resume, I've grown up in a larger family and grown up in a pastor's home in a church setting. And so I've had a lot of experience with people and working in ministry, working with whether it's from young people all the way up to to everyone really in the church. I just feel like that experience it doesn't hurt at all. It helps. You understand where people are coming from. You understand that you just meet people where they are and help them through the maybe difficulties they're going through to become what really God has created them to be. And that's, growing up, that's been my perspective. Just take people where they are and get them to that next step, no matter how hard it takes to get them to that next level. And that's just one, I love to see it when people can be taken from maybe they're at this point and they get to that next level. And so that's just one of the things I've enjoyed learning and growing in and experiencing. Having served, even worked as a bus driver, you kind of you understand maybe that side of the perspective a little bit more from the bus driver perspective. You understand what a bus driver goes through, student management on the bus firsthand. It's difficult when you're not in a certain situation to know exactly what goes on, but that's one perspective I do have. And so that's a perspective I have. Working in the bus, student transportation arena, you gain an understanding and appreciation for all the work and through what bus drivers go through. So that's just one perspective I think that would maybe add. I don't know if anyone else here has driven school bus or not, but that's another, I guess, experience. And I enjoy, this is just one small thing, but one thing I enjoy is music. I went to college and I took French horn, I did choir, I did chorale, orchestra, and I love music. And so that's one thing I appreciate about Mukwonago is a lot of the music programs. I've attended many of the different concerts and things like that. So that's one thing I just appreciate and I have a passion about is music. Also education. I did a pedagogy major along with French horn in college. So I have a little bit of background in that. Those are just some of the experiences. Worked on a farm, so I don't know what that brings to the school board other than hard work, determination, and seeing something done even if it takes a lot of work. So that's it for that, I guess.
I'm sorry, real quick, Dr. Cook. Should we let each candidate know how many questions we have so they're kind of prepared in their mind how long this will go?
Yeah, we have 10 questions.
Okay.
And an opportunity for you at the end. 20 minutes to go through them. Thanks,
you.
Mike. Micah, what do you believe is the appropriate role of a school board member?
Well, a school board member, definitely a team player with the rest of the school board. I know there's just being diligent to know what is on the agenda, knowing that as a school board, I don't know if this is a question later on in the interview, but just knowing that you as a school board member are a public servant and you have a public trust to properly use the resources to make sure the resources are properly used, forming policy. And could you just say the question one more time, please?
Sure.
Dr.
What do you believe is the appropriate role of a school board member?
Yeah, so I just think the role represents the community, stewards of the school district, of the property, buildings. Obviously, there's a lot of people underneath that really take care of that, but just making sure, hey, we're answering to the people. I got to make sure that the resources are properly being used. I'm that go-between in one sense, and really management of really making sure the management is happening properly, answering to parents, taxpayers. As a school board member, I just think that stewardship, taxpayer resources are very important, and that's really, I guess, the gist of it.
Thank you. What do you believe is the appropriate role of the superintendent, and how should the board and superintendent work together?
I believe the superintendent's role would be to really carry out the priorities and policies that the board has formulated and execute those. And relationship of the school board, of the superintendent to the school board as well, correct? I just think that the superintendent obviously would keep open communication, from my understanding, to the board about how are things going with the district, and making sure that those policies are then implemented that they've been given. That's, I guess, an overview picture of it.
Thank you. Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision that was not popular with everyone involved. How did you approach it?
Decision that was not popular. I'm sure this is the one that stumps people most often.
You can always think about it and go back to it if you're trying to dig something up from a while back.
Yeah.
Would you like us to come back to that one?
Could we? Yeah,
Yep.
I'll try to think about that.
Describe your experience working with people who have significantly different viewpoints than your own.
I think the most important thing with working with people that have significantly different viewpoints is just to talk to them about what your differences are. And often, when you do have big differences, you often have a lot that you can actually agree on. And so I feel like it's important to find out, okay, what are we actually disagreeing about? How much of it is a misunderstanding? And maybe it is legitimately you disagree about something, but there's a lot of other things that you can agree on. And just viewing people as people. Everyone's a person, everyone has opinions, and they have that God-given right to have their own opinion. And even if you disagree with them, well, I'll still respect them, but even if I disagree, I'll still respect them and care for them and love them.
What do you see as the most important opportunities and challenges facing our school district over the next several years?
Just looking at the size of the district, how many, there's I think 5 elementary schools, high school, and middle school, the new middle school, and I'm not sure how much the charter school, the Eagleville, has to do with the district funds, but just, I mean, managing all that, that's a lot to manage. So that's just one answer to that. I'm sure one thing that I know is across the board, students, making sure, okay, where are the students going to come from? If we need a certain amount of students, I'm not sure the correct maybe term, but there's a shortage of students, I guess, that for the classrooms. I know that's different in every district. Maybe some schools are higher, some schools have a lower student population, but how to deal with that. Obviously, funding shortage, I feel like that's something that I hear a lot. But one thing that I think is important and that maybe a difficulty that could be faced is just how to work with people, maybe students that need help. And just from my perspective, just one situation I encountered, how a young man went from he wasn't getting the help he needed, but then once he did get the help he needed, he's been thriving. And just knowing how to assess and properly figure out, okay, this person needs this. That's gonna be difficult. I'm sure it's being dealt with even now. So those are some of the biggest things. I would say this is just an overall maybe burden I have, is just saying really a love for our country, love for America, love for freedom, just seeing that really infiltrate throughout a community. I think it's important to have that. And I'm not sure that's a difficulty or if that's just something that I'd like to see a culture of really being promoted throughout a school district, just a patriotism, love for country, love for our founding principles that a country has. And I think that's being under attack nowadays, and I'd just love to see that more promoted more in our district, just seeing that patriotism thrive again.
How should the board measure the success of the school district?
I mean, one of the biggest ways to measure success is, I guess, our students succeeding as they leave the district and as they graduate and go on to their next step and phase in life. That's one of the biggest things. And also just maybe feedback from parents, even staff in the district. That helps gauge, okay, how successful are we being as a district?
Thank you. School board members are entrusted with confidential information. How would you handle situations involving sensitive or confidential matters?
I wouldn't talk about it with other people, only in the right settings, approved settings.
Why should the school board select you to fill the vacancy?
I just think they should, I mean, there's nothing I deserve for the position. So, I mean, it's really up to you all to decide, am I the right fit? I would love to serve as a school board member if you so choose, but really that's, I guess, up to you guys to decide, so.
I'd like to come back to number 5 now, if we could. Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision that was not popular with everyone involved. How did you approach it?
One situation, without getting into all the weeds of the details of the situation, I remember I was suggesting a change, or suggesting that we, in a kind of like a board setting, I was suggesting that we pass something, and there was quite a few people who didn't want it to be passed, but I would say most of the people did want it passed. So I just simply, without disrespecting those who were involved, I wrote whatever it was, and we went forward with it, regardless of maybe people's opinions. But in the meantime, while I knew they maybe disagreed, I tried to make sure that it was as whatever I was passing and suggesting that we approve was not in any way demeaning or hurtful to any parties involved, but that it was just seeking, hey, we want honesty, openness, and transparency. And I think that was that was just something that popped into my mind. So, and whatever it was passed, and we kept moving on with whatever it was, but that was just one thing. Just learning to, even if people disagree, just if you believe something's right, work through it and do what's right, even if maybe some people don't agree.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like the board to know as it considers your candidacy, or do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, first part I don't really have this. I do have one question. So I drive for Dowsman Transport Company, who I think contracts with the school district. So my question is, I currently am employed with Dowsman Transport. What's the relationship? From what I read, it seemed like I'd be able to still drive for Dowsman Transport as a bus driver, but I just was wondering if I can still drive, basically.
Yeah, so you would be able to drive because it's a contracted company.
Okay.
When we would have to look into this if you were selected, if we were discussing the transportation contract, because you could be directly affected by that, you would most likely have to recuse yourself. And we would do some homework on that beforehand to let you know. But you can't vote on anything that you could potentially benefit from. That's really where the line would.
Sure. And I just was reading this in the 15,000, is that in regards to me, like as you're contracted, you can't have more than 15,000 or something like that.
Sure. It would be, if you had a business
Business.
that the
Okay.
district was going to engage in, for service, if you will.
Sure.
That would then be where you could benefit from that. But
Okay.
your employment is with a contracted company, we wouldn't have to worry about that. It would just be when you could vote on that, to vote or not to vote on the contract.
Okay.
Similarly, if a school board member had a spouse who worked in the school district, still serve on the board, just can't vote for wages and things
Sure.
like that. They have to
Okay.
step away from that.
I just want to make sure on that.
Just to be clear, I understand that too. You're talking about your salary, you're wondering if you can make more than 15,000,
Yeah,
right?
I don't
Okay.
think I
All right,
do,
just for the
but-
record.
Yep.
Just wondering, okay. Anything else? I don't know what's next, but
No,
that's
so-
it from me.
From a process standpoint, the board will deliberate this evening. We will be in contact with the candidates, regardless if they're selected or not. After the meeting, probably tomorrow, it would be our goal to have the person seated for Monday. That would involve an oath of office and then a Monday evening board meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. Not a lot of people want to do this kind of work, so regardless of who we select, we're very happy to see that we had some interest for someone to step up and serve the community.
I submitted this the day, I don't know if he can hear, but I submitted this the day my daughter was born, actually.
Oh,
The-
Congratulations.
That night, so
Congratulations.
Thank you, Micah.
had a lot on my plate. But
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's cold in here.
I was drinking.
But I heard that they're kind of a pain.
Well, hi, I'm Nicole, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to see everyone. Skoyan.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for your interest. We have 10 questions for you this evening, and I will be asking those questions. There might be an opportunity for board members to ask for some clarification, but we're trying to stick that down to like acronyms. If you worked at ABC company, just to ask what that company did. There is opportunity at the end to kind of fill in any blanks that we may not have asked you, and also for you to ask any questions of the board if you have any.
Okay, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Let's do it. This
All
is
right.
weird, but we're going to make it work.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm.
There you go.
What's up?
All right. Nicole, why are you interested in serving on the school board at this time?
So I think right now, my husband and I have been in Mukwonago now. We moved here in 2019, and we started our family shortly after. And so I have 3 boys now, 4, 6, and 1.5. And my 4 and 6-year-old will both be in 4K and first grade in Big Bend for fall. And I think for me, I don't know, I'm just a big believer in like timing's always the biggest reason why I'm able to or not able to do certain things as a full-time working mom. And I think when I saw that email in the MASD email that was sent out, I've always been interested in kind of becoming more involved because I am very much involved in my children's education. But any time talking about the school board prior to that email, it just was either starting a family, being pregnant. I mean, there just was a number of different things. And so I think when that email came through, I finally was in a state of, okay, like this is actually a good timing for me. And then I think as a parent in the school district, I really just I'd be very much interested in the opportunity to learn more about this group of individuals and the decisions that are being made and the policies. I feel like this is a very important group that is very much involved in how us as a district can be successful, and being able to just honestly be a small part in that and be able to bring my perspective and be able to share experience from my lens, knowing that that's not an absolute, but just the lens in which I can bring. And I think for me, thinking about education, I've been in higher ed since going through higher education myself, being a Division I athlete, and then going through and finishing my PhD. And then I've worked at higher education since then. And I think there's just a lot of really great, there's just so many transferable skills between higher education and at an institution at Marquette, like I currently work at, into the K through 12 Mukwonago School District.
Thank you. What strengths, experiences, or perspectives would you bring to the board?
So I think for me, at Marquette, I oversee undergraduate advising. So essentially what that means is there's 6 undergraduate colleges at Marquette, and I am lucky enough to be in the position that has a lot of responsibility but 0 authority. I don't have many direct reports, but I have to figure out a way to have all the deans and all the advising leads across the institution to do things the same way. And if you know higher education, everyone has their own set of cultures and expectations and things that they've done. And at Marquette, we're a very prestigious, great institution, and they've done great things, you know, but as I'm sure everyone can feel in today's world, we have to continue to do things differently so that we can save money and cut costs. And right now, I'm in that position at Marquette to do that. And so I think being able to just kind of come in and be a really great listener, that's what I do a lot of my time. I'm listening to deans, I'm listening to faculty advisors, I'm listening to professional advisors, I'm listening to student success leads across the institution, really trying to understand where they're coming from and why. I think that I have to use soft skills on a day-to-day basis just to understand, like, my lens is always going to be coming from a counselor. My lens is always going to be coming from, you know, trying to understand the big picture, but that's not always right. I mean, I'm a big believer that everything that I do at Marquette, I need to make sure that I have the tough conversations. And I think I'd like to say I'd be able to bring something like that to this role. I don't think that conflict is a bad thing. I think it's how you approach that conflict and how you have conversations through that, because hopefully throughout conversations and understanding different people's perspectives and lenses, you will be able to come on the other side of that and be able to have a result that would be beneficial for most stakeholders, if not all.
What do you believe is the appropriate role of a school board member?
So I'm going to be honest, I did a little research on this. This is not an area of, like, I'm not an expert here, so I'll be honest with you there. I think for this type of a person to be successful, they need to be a really great listener. They need to be able to be a sponge, to be able to absorb it. But like this body and you guys as a group, like, you're not handling the day-to-day. Like, you really are all about policy and working with the superintendent and being able to give perspectives and give feedback. So I think for me, it would really just try to come into that space in a way where, like, this body can just be able to do that better.
What do you believe is the appropriate role of the superintendent, and how should the board and superintendent work together?
I feel like I'll start with the second question. Open and honest, direct transparency is needed. I mean, if we're talking about making decisions and giving perspectives to benefit this entire school district, like, you can't beat around the bush. Like, you need to be able to have honest conversations, respectful, honest conversations. And so I think that between this board and the superintendent being able to have those and be able to know that this is in some ways very much a safe space, and especially when it's closed doors, like, certain information cannot go outside of here. I think the best results you can get is when you make sure everyone can show that side of vulnerability to really talk through what could be very challenging situations. And as far as what the role of a superintendent is, I just know it's not a job I want. Sorry.
Okay. Describe a time you had to make a difficult decision that was not popular with everyone involved. How did you approach it?
So at Marquette right now, we are onboarding a CRM, which is a customer relation management tool. So for us, it's a system called Slate. No pun intended, but it's like we can build it from the slate. It's like a blank slate. So it's really fun and exciting. But with that, as the person who oversees undergraduate advising, I need to really make tough decisions to streamline the workflows. And there's times when I don't have all 6 colleges on board. But at the end of the day, my supervisor, the provost, is expecting to have an answer, to be able to determine, okay, we can build anything we want. I mean, we always have to ask the question of, should we build it? But we can build it. Not everyone's always on board. And I think for me, I need to keep the ball rolling. ITS resources, institutional research, having the data at hand, like at a certain point, we gotta pull the trigger. I mean, things on campus at Marquette do move slower than my athletic days, but we can't just be waiting. And so I think for me, there's been a lot of times, I mean, I don't even know, like there's like dozens where not everyone agrees. And unfortunately, I need to just literally be in the hot seat, which I feel like I am right now, but like I just have to take the heat, and I need to really explain why I made the decision I made. And I work very closely with institutional research to make sure that I always have data at hand to explain why I made that decision. Because if I'm gonna stand by it, there's 500 advisors at Marquette, and there's one of me. And 425 of them are faculty. And if you guys work with faculty at higher education, they're not all pleasant. And that's okay, that's fine. But like, they don't always love every decision I make. But I have to go back to the data. And the reason why I made it is always directly related to that, and how it's gonna be beneficial for retention and persistence and graduation rates. Because for us right now, advising is the focal point of the Student Success Initiative, and I need to be a driver of that.
Describe your experience working with people who have significantly different viewpoints than your own.
Mm-hmm. All the time. I think working with individuals that think different than me is a day-to-day. I'm a very energetic, extrinsic, positive person, and I do have the pleasure to work with a lot of people that are like the polar opposite of that. So from people who are very ITS driven and are all about the spreadsheets, to people who absolutely repel technology and they don't even want to talk about it. And so I think for me, it really just comes down to when I need to work with them, I'm focusing on creating that relationship. I mean, I have to. Like, I gotta understand, like, sometimes they're not always loving it. They don't always want to talk about, like, they're just like, I want to get stuff done, and I need to respect that as well. But I need to understand where they're coming from. And I think sometimes getting to know them as a person, whether they want to talk personal stuff or not, that's, that's boundaries. I'm all about professional boundaries. But like being able to work with someone who has a very different lens than myself, I think is for the betterment of any project I work on. Because if you are surrounded by all the same people that think and perceive the situation like you do, then I don't know, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that decision is going to be really great, at least the majority of the time.
What do you see as the most important opportunities and challenges facing our school district over the next several years?
So, I mean, I think for me, I was thinking about this, and I think a challenge that's very transferable of what I feel at Marquette, that I'm sure you guys feel, is that the birth rates of 18-year-olds are going to be at an all-time low here soon. And although Mukwonago is really booming and it's really exciting, I think we always need to take into account, like, what's the number of students that are going to be in this school district, and how can we prioritize and not only think currently, but thinking futuristically. Like, I mean, we can't just be like, okay, yeah, let's build the new school, and then, 12 months later, that's done. Like, that just, there's so many policies and conversations and strategic moves that have to happen. And at least as a parent at Big Bend, I know a huge challenge is buildings and safety of our kids in parking lots and drop off and pickups, and being able to take into account just the infrastructure of physical space that we have. I'm very excited to see what happens with the middle school. It was awesome that we got that second referendum. It would have been great if we got the first, but that's my personal opinion. Please don't hold it against me. And so I'm excited to see where that goes and how things can be moved. But I do have some pretty serious concerns for my kids at Big Bend. If, you know, it's a crazy street with crazy pickup and drop off. There's just so many specifics, but at the end of the day, you know, if we can't get referendums passed, it's going to be a challenge to be able to put resources and financial resources to make some of those changes.
How should the board measure the success of the school district?
I'm gonna be, as like a data person, I'd love to say, I mean, I know like surveys are sent and like observations are made, you know, school board meetings and all that type of stuff. So I think for me, it's honestly like an accumulation of everything that you guys collect. Like there needs to be a way that this board can have data at its discretion to say whether or not you have been effective. I guess I don't really have like something up my sleeve in regards to an answer of like, y'all should do A, B, and C in order to make sure that you're getting that information. But I do think that when you're trying to make an assessment like that to show satisfaction and to show effectiveness, it needs to be coming from multiple sources.
School board members are entrusted with confidential information. How would you handle situations involving sensitive or confidential matters?
I mean, I think everything I do is extremely sensitive based on, you know, I'm a big believer in building rapport with people, and the second you break that trust, you've broken it, and it takes a whole heck of a lot more work to rebuild the trust than it is the first go around. I will say that I am also an adjunct professor for the online mental health master's program at Marquette because I got my PhD in counseling psychology. And so this is kind of one of those conversations I have with my students all the time. Like this is the field that they're going to be walking into. Like really being able to make sure that they understand when they're having a session with a client, or when they're, you know, whatever it is that they're doing in the space of a counselor, they need to make sure that they understand that it's a locked box. I mean, the only time that anything would ever forgo that is like mandatory reporting for the safety of the person that's standing in front of you.
Why should the board select you?
You just are like boom, 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 like y'all are efficient. Honestly, I think for me, I'm a mom in the district, very invested in my kids' education. I have multiple degrees. I think education is a huge part of who I am, how I've gotten to where I am. And I would love to just play a small part in, you know, continuing to, you know, better if I can, if I'm able to continue to provide insight and help our school district continue to improve, not only for my 3 kids that will be in the school district, but for all the kids in the school district. And I think Mukwonago is a really special place, at least it's near and dear to my heart. And so just continuing to be able to be involved with that and being able to, I always kind of like to say, like, have a seat at the table. By no means do I think I'm never the expert in everything that I talk about, but I do think that as a board member, I'd be able to at least share my lens and be able to give some insight from how I'm viewing it. And, whether or not that's helpful or not, I'm a big believer in, just being direct and just having those conversations. And I look forward to being able to contribute in that way if possible.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like the board to know about you as it considers your candidacy, or do you have any questions for the board?
I think for me, the only other thing, I'm just trying to think what I haven't talked about. I just love education. Like, I genuinely enjoy being a lifelong learner. I love asking the tough questions. I love taking part in, if it's necessary, conflict, or just being able to understand the body as a whole and like what everyone is trying to kind of bring to the table. And then just being strategic is so fun for me. Like understanding how can we bring all the data and the people and the minds and all that stuff kind of in one place. And I think that's a big strength of mine that I'd love to be able to potentially participate with this group about. And then I think for me, is it time to ask questions?
You can ask a question.
I can ask questions, but I'm asking you.
Okay, yes.
Oh,
Ask a question.
Okay, so I think for me is, what are some of your guys' priorities as a board for over the next few years?
Well, I think some of the ongoing ones, in my opinion, that we've worked on is fiscal responsibility, and there's times we have to make some tough decisions. And not everyone agrees we're efficient, like you said, but we try to be. Safety of the kids, we've worked a lot with Dr. Cook and the whole administration on security systems and things like that to help with the safety of the kids. And yes, we do talk about the declining population and enrollment and trying to make our school district a destination school district so people will open enroll into here. And we have a lot of open enrollment here.
We do, yes.
So I think those are some of the top ones if somebody else wants to add.
I think teacher retention is one that we've put a big focus on as well, which we have seen better retention in the past few years, so we've been successful in that. Any other ones you guys want to add?
Implementing some of the trade stuff into the middle school. As the new school will come online, we're going to implement some of that stuff. It's something that I want to see done, and I think we're going to move forward with that in the next few years.
And then academic achievement, student growth, student achievement is a big thing. I mean, as a superintendent, that's my measure of success for the school district. If our kids are growing and if they're achieving and we continue to turn that dial up, we're doing our job.
Yeah, that's great. What about how do you guys kind of as a board approach difficult or like controversial decisions amongst yourselves? How are you guys approaching that as a group?
I would say that anyone who watches the actual meetings, which there aren't a whole lot, but sometimes there's controversy, we discuss it here in public. Mm-hmm. There's very little other than, hey, there's a meeting tomorrow, or we have to schedule this, that kind of stuff. Or here's the agenda, like the whole public gets. But we do not all agree on everything. I mean, we took a couple of different votes just on a music program because we couldn't agree on it. So we respect each other. In my opinion, I have nothing but the utmost respect for everyone on this board and our administration. But we do it just by, we vote our conscience and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's just, we can disagree, but you got to remember you're part of a collective board that's going to make a decision, and that's why we
put the mic closer.
Thank you, Craig. But that's why we're all here, right? So we can make a collective decision with all those different viewpoints and perspectives. So
I think you also have to be very good at setting your ego aside and being okay with that. We've had some pretty heated conversations in here in the past, and we've taken some pretty tough votes, even amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And we've gotten through them, and then the very next vote, we're all laughing and getting along, and everybody agrees on the next agenda item, right? So there are times where it's going to get hot in here, and it's not fun, and you don't like it, and you don't sleep well at night the next, when you get home. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right.
Yeah. I guess then, what qualities are y'all looking for in a new member?
Someone willing to do the job.
Oh, okay.
I mean, as a superintendent, I appreciate board members. They ask good questions, open communication. Board members that obviously represent our community. When we surveyed for the referendum, 70% of our community is only connected to us through property taxes and Friday night football games. I mean, that really is where most of the community is. 30% are parents, employees, school-age adults. It's such a small percentage of the community, and so having a representative group who, has children in the district, doesn't have children in the district, folks that, represent the true taxpayer, people who bring a great perspective that the community, represents. I mean, what goes on in the church parking lot, what goes on at the grocery store, what happens at the restaurant, those are the things that we want to be able to bring to the table, and those perspectives, because we are here for our students. Above and beyond anything else, we're here for our students. But we have to represent what the community asks of us, and I do appreciate this board for that.
I think that's all my questions, unless there's anything else that I can help specify for y'all as a group.
I just want to say thanks. The 3 candidates, regardless of who we choose,
Yeah.
not many people want to go and do this job. If you get selected or not, whoever gets in the chair, the fact that 3 of you showed up and are trying to help out the community, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because it would be really bad if 0 people applied, and that would be tough on us.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
thank
course.
you.
Thank you guys for having me. Good luck.
Thanks.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks for coming out.
So, thank you for coming in. Like I mentioned before, we have 10 questions. I will ask those questions. As we go through them at the end, there'll be an opportunity for you to fill in any additional information, ask the board any questions that you might have. The board tonight will convene after the interviews are done. They will be voting on candidates, possibly making a decision this evening. Like I said before, our goal is to have somebody seated for a Monday evening board meeting.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Becky, why are you interested in serving on the school board at this time?
So a couple years ago, I started a job at the urgent care, just up the road in Mukwonago here, and I found out that taking care of the people in my community gave me so much satisfaction that I didn't know it was something that I was missing, was to be more involved in the community. We've been in the district for 12 years now. Initially, we lived on Edgewood Avenue, so you know it's not necessarily a neighborhood, it's a road of houses. Recently, within the past 3 years, we moved over to Miners Estates, and it was then that I really got the sense of community from the neighborhood that we were in and how much I enjoy actually being a part of it. So caring for people in the community and wanting the best for them. When I saw the vacancy, I thought, okay, well, you know what, that could be the next step. I have 2 kids in the district and one of them just graduated, so.
Thank you. What strengths, experiences, or perspectives would you bring to the board?
Strengths is that I am pretty thick-skinned. Being in healthcare, it's kind of a requirement that I don't easily get flustered, especially when people are maybe venting towards me. From an academic perspective, I have a BA in communications from UW-Madison, and then I also have my nursing degree as well. To be perfectly candid, you know, I know that the school board is apprised of a bunch of people that a lot of them have very shared conservative views, and I think that's great. I know a lot of our community is on board with that, and I know that there are some that are not on board with that as well. Not necessarily on board, but there's other opinions out there, and so, you know, going through the philosophy is to act as a truly representative body for citizens in all matters related to programs and operations. And given that, you know, I have a different perspective, I think that it would be good to have someone else with a maybe different opinion.
Thank you. What do you believe is the appropriate role of a school board member?
To listen to the people, listen to the parents, listen to the staff, listen to the kids, listen to each other, make sure that we are offering the highest level of education in a fiscally appropriate way. You know, talking about the mill rate, I know that Mukwonago has, you know, a fairly low mill rate, and I think that's great because we are still giving extremely quality education. So it's to be a voice for other people, but also to use a good degree of diplomacy when hearing from people or in working with other members.
Thank you. What do you believe is the appropriate role of the superintendent, and how should the board and superintendent work together?
Well, the superintendent is, you know, we're going to say the final word, you know, the top, but the superintendent doesn't get his information just from what he thinks. He works collaboratively with the rest of the school board, as well as, again, staff and other members in the community. It is collaboration. There's not going to be decisions made or ideas brought forth unless everyone works as a team. The superintendent needs to be a face for the district and to lead with a respectful error and to show everybody, whether it's in our community, our state, what have you, what kind of people we have and what we turn out here in Mukwonago.
Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision that was not popular with everyone involved. How did you approach it?
Well, there's been a lot of those. So, you know, one of the things I did in healthcare was I was a case manager. And so what that person does is we set forth a safe plan for patients to go home. But we also look at, a big part of it is looking at the finances of what's going on during the hospital. Are we making sure they're getting what they need, but also that we're being conservative with what we have? There are many times that, you know, I've worked with families and I've had to tell them, you know, I'm so sorry, but based on what our physical therapy team is saying, it doesn't sound like your mom is safe to go home. So I had to make the decision to be the face of our healthcare team and say, I know this is not what you want. Let's see how we can work together. Make it as easy as possible. I understand you're disappointed, and I get that I'm disappointed for you, but showing people that you are understanding of them and that, you know, yes, I'm hearing you, I feel you. Unfortunately, here are the reasons that this is not going to work.
Thank you. Describe your experience working with people who have significantly different viewpoints than your own.
Yeah, all the time. I work in healthcare. There is people from every race, gender, sex, creed, what have you. And, you know, there are people who will say COVID, for example, that they had an opinion and, okay. Honestly, a professional setting is not one where it's time to really get into things. There are two sides to every story. Have to be respectful, which I know sounds like a given, but in a lot of situations it's not. So sometimes it's, you know, you choose, hey, I'm not going to talk about this with this person, but sometimes it is really good to have those conversations that are difficult and say, okay, I see it from your perspective, now see it from my perspective as well, and hopefully you can come to some sort of understanding, if not an agreement.
What do you see as the most important opportunities and challenges facing our school district over the next several years?
I know it's going to be really difficult in our school district with moving to the new Parkview Middle School. That's going to realign basically all of our schools. It's going to be a challenge working with space, educators, administrative staff. I think that's going to be a very big thing in the next few years. I think our job is to make sure that we are showing our community that the investment they made is worth it and that their money is going somewhere good and it will be coming back to them and, you know, coming out with their good kids, grandkids, neighbors, what have you.
Thank you. How should the board measure the success of the school district?
There are, of course, the standardized tests, and those are important because that has to do when looking at funding and when people look, where do I want to live? I want to live in Mukwonago because they have good schools there. So that is a big piece that's important. Also by the success of the students. You know, when I was in graduation just a few months ago, seeing what the people had planned for their future, it was cool to me that so many people did have a plan. I'm going on the police force. I'm going to go into the workforce. I'm going to college. To turn out students with a variety of interests and talents and intellects is really important, but also our teachers. They're going to be the most important people, in my opinion, in our school district, and we need to listen to them. And if they feel that the school board listens to them and has their best interests in mind as well, I think that's a success.
School board members are entrusted with confidential information. How would you handle situations involving sensitive or confidential matters?
So I believe in transparency when it's possible. Otherwise, yeah, this is a position that there is a lot of confidential information. Working with healthcare, again, I HIPAA, there's so many people that I see and things that I hear and know about, and I'm not able to share that, obviously, nor do I want to, but it's part of the responsibility. And, you know, I would not want to do anything to jeopardize our school district in any way our school district, myself, my family. So I would take the role very seriously.
Why should the board select you to fill the vacancy?
Well, I'm sure everybody said I do have all of the kids, in my best interest, as well as the families and the families' taxes that they pay and our teachers. I do think that I offer a bit of a different perspective, and my goal is not to come in here and, bring some sort of liberal woke agenda. That's not who I am. That doesn't get anything done. I would like to be somebody that offers a different side, and other people could potentially feel that they're represented in myself. I will listen to what they have to say. Obviously, it's limited with what we could reply to, but I'm visible within the community. I work at the urgent care. My youngest is in sports. My middle child he does drama. My oldest was in sports. I'm deeply ingrained in our community, and I truly want what's best for our students, even if those are difficult decisions when it's looking at a budget cut or some change in a rule.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like the board to know as it considers your candidacy, or do you have any questions for us?
You guys were really good with being forthright and saying what the process would be, and I appreciate that. So what are you looking for? Who would your ideal candidate be?
That's a tough one because I haven't talked to them and they don't talk to me about who their ideal candidate is. First off, we have to have people apply, so we're really grateful that 3 people applied. So we
Is
have
it
a
only
choice.
3?
Yes.
That kind of shocks me, to be honest.
I was kind of shocked it was that many.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna do this. I can't have an opinion on something if when given the opportunity, I don't take action to try to be a part of the decision making and what's going on. So that's how I looked at it. And if there's people out there and they're gonna be unhappy, and some people are unhappy, and or they're gonna be very happy, and I'm a doer. So what, anyone else?
Yeah, so I would say that we value people that come in from a board member perspective that do their homework. You're provided with these agendas a couple days in advance, so taking the time to not just familiarize yourself with what's being discussed, but to dig deep and to be able to know what to ask, because we're here to ask questions and to guide things along. So doing the homework and the footwork to make sure that you're being an asset in that perspective.
Right. And I feel most confident when I can speak on something accurately and that I have the knowledge behind what I am saying. Even preparing for today, I did my homework, probably a weird amount of homework, but I did it, and I read through all of the bylaws, the philosophies. I read through all that stuff just to kind of familiarize myself with, okay, what really am I looking at in a position such as this? What kind of stuff do we talk about? Who would I be working with in this capacity? So yes, I think preparation is key.
Just as a superintendent, my team, we are looking for folks that represent our community. We often are here, our priority is the kids. But 70% of our district or better does not have children in our schools. So their contribution to us is their taxes.
Right.
They come to the Friday football games, the stands are always full. We want to make sure that what we're doing in the school district is representative of what our community values and what they're asking of us. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. I know, Eric, you're the only one who looked at my LinkedIn. So I've been waiting for the views to come, but they're like, they're not coming. What's going on here? I expected them to come. So, yeah.
I was in Florida and then St. Germain for a week, so it was about a 3-week period of time where I was
Okay,
out.
got it.
So.
All right, that's fine. But like I said, I was waiting for it, but it didn't come. But
I never go on LinkedIn.
oh well.
I
never-
barely ever go on Facebook.
Yeah.
Until I ran for office 2 years ago, I didn't even have an account.
Okay. Well, and I looked at everybody's their candidate profiles when they were running that stuff to familiarize myself, like I said, with who what are the values of the people here. And I think overall we share the same values, just some differences and some viewpoints. But you know, I love being part of this community. I want the best for everybody in this community, and you know, I would enjoy the opportunity to have an even larger voice.
Thank you. Any other questions for us?
I don't think so. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions for me, or are you the only one that can ask?
We try to stick to the script just so we're
Oh, okay,
consistent for
gotcha.
all the candidates.
Okay, so just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. very
thank
much.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, if we maybe take a 5-minute break, then we'll come back and reconvene, and you'll have an opportunity to review your notes, and then we'll deliberate for candidates and take a vote. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so we're coming back. We have interviewed the 3 candidates this evening. Board members, if you could take a couple minutes to review your notes. Then we will start to have the discussion. We will vote candidate by candidate. We will do a voice vote because Carolyn is remote. It'll be 2 questions, 3 questions actually. Who is your first? Who's your second? Who's your third? Whoever has the most first place votes or number 1 vote will then be the candidate selected. If we do not have a clear winner after the first round, we would then go to a second round of voting. We would drop off the lowest vote getter. And then if we have a second round of voting and we don't have a clear candidate, we would go to a third round of voting. If after 3 rounds of voting, we do not have a candidate, Carolyn, as the vice president of the board, would have the ability to say we are not going to take any more rounds of votes. And that would then turn the process over to Craig Verts as the board president. And then he would be in a position where he can nominate somebody after the 60 days is up. The 60 days is up tomorrow on July 17th. So just for perspective, that'll be the process that we follow. So take a few minutes and then just kind of give me a nod if you are ready to begin voting.
Joe, you said when we go around the horn, we're going to give them in our order of like first, second, third.
First, second, third, yes,
Thank
please.
you.
Okay.
I saw it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, before we start voting, are there any questions that board members have of each other? Is there anything that you heard that you'd like your fellow board members to discuss or clarify before we get into voting?
Actually, I just thought of this because we went through this a while back. I don't remember, have all the candidates been vetted through CCAP or whatever it's called for criminality and all that, or does that happen after we pick one?
That would happen after we would pick, but before we would grant a.
So if something came up, we have a chance to revise it?
Well, it depends on what your criminal record, quote unquote, would show. You know, you can run for office with a criminal record. There are certain things that would preclude you from office, but you can run for what we would be doing then is because board members have had access to schools, badge access to schools, then we would run that, and that would prohibit badge access to the building. But they still could come to the school board meeting. We can't use a criminal record to prevent somebody from doing this.
I understand the whole voting thing, but nobody's getting elected here unless we're considered the electors, I guess.
You are the electors for this position.
Okay, got it, thanks.
My only question, just so it's public and publicly said, how long has this person sat in this seat then?
This person would complete this year, and then I'll have to confirm, but the last time I checked, this person would have to run for office in April due to the timing of the resignation.
Thank you.
Yep. And then they would be elected to what would be a shorter term, or whoever fills that seat then would be elected to a shorter term, so 2-year term, based off of what was left in the seat. Okay. Everybody ready?
Ready?
Okay, I will ask by name. When I say, and we're just going to go in order of the interview, so when I say Micah's name, I'm going to ask Eric, was he number 1, 2, or 3 for you? And then I'm just going to put a tally down, 1, 2, or 3. Jason, we'll go around the room that way, okay? So Eric, Micah,
1,
Nicole,
2,
Becky,
3.
Jason,
1.
Micah,
1.
Nicole,
2,
Becky,
3,
Jake, Micah,
1,
Nicole,
2,
Becky,
3,
Crosby, Micah,
1,
Nicole,
2,
Becky,
3.
Carolyn, Micah, Nicole, Becky, and Mike. Micah,
1,
Nicole,
3,
Becky.
2.
So after one round of voting, Micah has 6 votes, number 1 votes. Nicole has 5 number 1 votes, 1 number 3 vote. Becky has 5 number 3s and 1 number 2. So after one round of voting, Micah was the unanimous choice. Are there any questions, board?
What is the process from here again?
So the process from here will be tomorrow. I will notify candidates of where they were at. The candidate we will schedule time for the candidate to come in and take an oath of office. If the candidate is available Monday evening, then they would be seated at the board meeting Monday evening.
And you need all of these to
Yep.
collect, correct?
I will collect all the papers. Please make sure that you have the candidate's name on it and that you have your signature on those papers.
Or signature, not just our name.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Just somewhere on the front?
Right up on top, it says interviewer.
Oh, I just printed.
I just
Yeah, I just-
printed it,
Okay.
but I can sign.
I signed underneath.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, board. Thank you to the candidates who put their name in and took the time and the interest in our school district. We're very appreciative of their interest and their service to our community and our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are adjourned. Or Crosby, could you say that, please, just so it's official?
Meeting adjourned.